Welcome to the Lesson Plan. I'm your host, DPS Communications and Community Engagement Manager Nicole Brady. This is the podcast where we talk all things academics and dive deep into how Denver Public Schools is working to improve outcomes. We've had some great conversations on the program recently about changes to math and literacy, and we've really been diving deep into the weeds. Today we want to shift gears a little bit to talk about the importance of leadership when it comes to driving academic goals. And so my guest for that topic today is none other than DPS Deputy Superintendent, Dr. Tony Smith. Thank you so much for being here, Dr. Smith.
Yes, thank you for having me.
And by the way, we are taping this just before your birthday. So happy birthday.
Thank you.
A little bit early to you. It'll be past your birthday by the time this airs, but with it being your birthday, I want to start with a little bit of a bio on Dr. Smith. Tell us a little bit about your background and your journey as an educator.
Yeah, so I've been in Denver Public Schools for about 20 years, in education about 25 altogether. I started as a Denver Public Schools Title I teacher for adjudicated youth for small schools and institutions, and then have been a teacher, a football coach, an assistant principal, a principal. I've been a principal supervisor, which back in the day was called instructional superintendent. I've been an executive director and now have been a deputy superintendent. I left for a little bit of time. I went to a neighboring district for about 2 years, which was Adams 14, to try to learn, and then left to go to Dallas to be a regional superintendent in Dallas for about 2.5 years. And so altogether, I'm 25 years in. I'm still loving it. This is still the best profession ever. And I love Denver Public Schools. I've been able to really hone my leadership and hone my expertise here in Denver Public Schools. And I always feel like any opportunity I get to go and grow prepares me to come back and lead better and lead in a more robust way for Denver Public Schools.
In all of the roles you had, is there one that you think has prepared you for the leadership role you're in now the most?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's a culmination of experiences. I think that life is live forward, but learn backwards. And so when I think about that, I really reflect on all the experiences I've had across my educational career and the people I've come in contact with and those who have helped mold my leadership. And as I reflect, I grow as a leader. And so I really believe that it is a culmination of those opportunities I've been given and the successes and also the failures that have allowed me to be the leader that I am today and to support the team, the amazing team that we have in Denver Public Schools.
Well, and obviously Denver kept drawing you back here. So tell us about the role of Deputy Superintendent. In case people aren't fully aware, we know the superintendent.
Yeah.
He's out front a lot. Are you sort of the man behind the curtain, or what's the best way to describe your role?
That is a great way to categorize the deputy superintendent role. I am the one who's responsible for all of our academics and school-based initiatives, and really charged with meeting the goals that the board sets in terms of academics and achievement. And so when we think about the infrastructure of Denver Public Schools, I and my team are really set up to make sure that we meet those goals and create opportunities for school leaders and teachers and all of the system of Denver Public Schools to be aligned to the goals that we have and to meet the needs of our kids. And so I take great pride in being the deputy superintendent because I get to see all aspects of the district. I get to interact with all aspects of Denver Public Schools, and it's such an honor and a tremendous privilege to serve in this role. I think we've done some amazing things, and I'm just really excited about the work we'll do continuing forward.
I am going to get to some of those amazing things, that amazing work, pretty soon here. But I want to ask, you spend a lot of time in classrooms. I know every Friday at least. At the minimum, you're in classrooms every Friday. Is that how you kind of check in at the ground level and see what's going on in our schools so that you're not just always looking at data, always managing from central office?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. That's one of the ways we do it. I align my schedule so I can be there to see the smiling faces of teachers and kids on Fridays, but we'll every once in a while join a walkthrough, which happen throughout the week. I'll also go to professional learning opportunities, or I'll have meetings with leaders. And I try to use all of the data points to triangulate what it is that we're seeing, what it is we need to improve on, and what it is that we're really doing good that we need to expand upon. And so my time in schools is selfishly that opportunity where I get to just see kids in the joyous space of learning and watch teachers do their thing and watch leaders brag about their people and brag about the great things that they have going on. It's a less formal environment, but also using my team and other experiences to get into schools to understand and triangulate how we improve and how we iterate on some of the successes that we've had.
Excellent, excellent. So getting into some of the data and the academics here, since you became deputy superintendent in 2022, I have to point this out. DPS has seen unprecedented results here. CMAS scores on math this past year were at an all-time high. Graduation rates broke records for several consistent years and were at an all-time high in the last report. Almost 73% of kindergartners are now reading at grade level or higher. And of course, in September, the district celebrated being rated green in the state's performance framework for only the second time in DPS history. How is leadership playing a critical role in advancing these academic goals?
Yeah, that's a great question. One thing you highlight through that data point is that I always like to say we're a dope district and we got dope people. We just truly have some of the most amazing people across the state of Colorado. And I think the data, while not where we want it to be, is all-time highs. And that starts with the fact that we believe our students can do anything. We believe our teachers can do anything, and our leaders really show up every day to move the needle, whether it be mountains or molehills. They try to remove every barrier from students being able to learn. And so that data is a byproduct of hard work, really thoughtful and strategic inputs, and then progress monitoring along the way, with a group of people and stakeholders that really believe that Denver Public Schools kids can and will achieve. Our goal is 100%, and it's going to take us a little while to get there. What the data you recited shows us and tells us is that we're moving in the right direction. 73% of our kids being on grade level changes the trajectory of a kid tremendously and allows us to do so many things in the educational space. The more kids that come to us prepared to read on grade level and happy and excited about education in the third grade opens the door so wide. And so I'm excited about what Denver Public Schools will be able to do over the last has been able to do over the last few years, but the future is so bright because we believe we know talented, smart individuals that are just dogged about making sure we give kids everything they need to be successful. That really is the true. That's the true success, is how much people believe in kids, right? And once you have that, the people make the work happen, and it makes such an awesome outcome.
Well, what type of input and feedback are you getting from the teachers and the families and community groups in those schools, and even students in shaping how you move forward? Yeah,
let's start with the students. So when we go to classrooms, I often ask kids at the elementary level, what are you doing? Talk to me about what you're doing. At the secondary level, you like this? And at the high school level, why is this important? And overwhelmingly, kids give great answers, right? They really believe in what their teachers are showing them. Teachers have really given us a lot of feedback around curriculum and curriculum adoption and what it means to be really efficacious in the curriculum, to really learn it, to grow it, to understand what you're teaching and how to teach the kids. I think that has been a tremendous success for us. I think at the high school level, it's really about the options. What options have we given our kids and our teachers to be able to teach in a way that excites their passion for teaching, but also gives kids an opportunity to be 21st century learners and to prepare them for college, career, armed forces, or whatever they decide to do beyond high school, to give them options and opportunities. So when we go out there and we start talking to people, they have been really quick to give us feedback, and I enjoy it. Nice. I often say closed mouths don't get fed. And my grandmother used to say that all the time. And so when I think about that, if I'm asking for feedback, we really want to engage in a conversation that helps us get better. Our job is to support schools, teachers, school leaders, and students in getting everything they need to achieve. Understanding I don't teach not one student. So my job is to create a system that aligns and uplifts them to support them in doing their job better.
Yeah. I've seen examples of that in the data mine where teachers, principals are able to come into DPS central office and tell the district what they need. How does DPS prioritize the highest need students and get those supports out to students who need them?
Yeah, so you referenced the data mine, which the data mine is an opportunity for us to progress monitor collectively, but more so create collective ownership in the success of individual schools. And so everybody in the district is there so that their department is represented, and when a school talks about a need, somebody can be there to support that school with their need. That's the expectation of central office, is that when a school says, I need X, we show up and we provide X at the highest quality. And so what does that look like for us to truly understand what schools are needing? It helps us to see it, but also to hear it from the school leader. We have been able to truly move the needle with some of our schools on the state clock. I think when we started this journey, we had some ridiculous number, and don't quote me exactly, but I think we had like 16 schools on the clock. I think after request to reconsider this year, we'll only have 3 red schools and 6 on the clock. Wow. And so we've been able to collectively galvanize support for schools that moves the needle in achievement. I think when schools don't have the things that they need, or they need a little bit more intensive support, we've created the Elevate Network, which is a partnership between the district and the school to provide every resource possible for school leaders, for teachers, for students, for families, so that there is no excuse for them not to succeed and get to grade level as fast as possible. What we understand is kids don't have multiple 4th grades. And so we want to ensure that in that 4th grade that they're in right now, they're getting the best opportunities possible. And so Joe Amundsen and his team have really been thoughtful about how the Elevate Network wraps around schools and supports them in being as great as they can be. And we're seeing some really promising data come out of there, and some really strong information from kids, anecdotally from teachers, as well as from school leaders.
Excellent. You also mentioned, though, maintaining the system as a whole, the health of DPS as a whole. That is a tough job, I would imagine, having to center equity, but still think about that system as a whole. How do you manage that as the deputy superintendent?
Yeah, I think equity is who you are, not what you do. And so we really try to ensure that everybody understands that their responsibility when they accept the charge to teach, to lead, to work in Denver Public Schools, understands that our collective responsibility is educational equity. And so we start from that place, and then we develop from that place as well too. So we ensure that all of our initiatives have the core of equity at the center of them. We have a number of values. The one I actually love the best and think that it fits this question is integrity. When a student comes in, we promise them that we're going to give them a great education, and integrity is doing what you say you're going to do. And so how do we support every family, and how do we support every school in ensuring that we do what we say we're going to do, and we hold ourselves accountable to that? That's really important to me. And so when you talk about equity, I think there's so many different, for lack of a better word, directions or ideations around equity, but at the core, it's making sure that every kid has what they need to be successful, and that's our collective responsibility. And so I believe that the people we have in the district currently and where we're going in the future, people understand that, they accept that challenge, and they really are excited to make sure that Denver is the first district that achieves educational equity and eradicates that gap.
Amazing. Beyond test scores, I want to ask, how are you measuring if other success standards are moving in the right direction? I guess engagement of students, health and wellness, mental wellness, all those things. Yeah. What do you see your role as in sort of overseeing those? I mean, even in the Office of Academics, mental health is part of that office.
Yeah, so we look at, again, we go back to the data, then we triangulate the data with the experiences and what we see and what we hear from students. We look at attendance, chronic absenteeism, understand why kids are and are not attending. We talk to families, we talk to parents, and we talk to kids. Like, hey, tell us a little bit about your experience in Denver Public Schools. What does that look like? But beyond that, school is more than just reading, writing, math, right? Social studies, science. It's an experience that helps galvanize who a young person is going to be throughout life. They get so many opportunities to play on sports teams. We've expanded middle school athletics. We've expanded the opportunity for kids to pursue their passion through the arts, through STEM-related fields. We've given a tremendous amount of student voice through student voice and leadership, and given opportunities for kids to really be involved and to understand who they are and start to understand who they are. I tell people this all the time. I still sometimes don't know exactly who I want to be when I grow up. And I don't anticipate that a student or a child will understand that right when they graduate. But graduating from Denver Public Schools gives you the tools, the resources, the knowledge, and the ability to expand your horizons exponentially, to ask the right questions, to think critically, and to go off and be a leader in your community. I think those are really what we want for what we really want for our students. And I referenced the gap. The achievement gap, while it is still there, doesn't represent the amazingness that our students leave us with. And so when we talk about the achievement gap, which obviously we want to close and we want to get better, we're also not talking about the kids that just graduated with a CTE credential and went off into a high-paying job, or the student that left us to go into the armed services and has accomplished their dream of being a pilot. Denver Public Schools has such a rich history of successful people that have graduated from these schools and gone on to be Betcher Scholars, to be Gates Scholars, to do phenomenal things. We often hear about the Earth, Wind, and Fires, but we don't hear about the two-star or two-star generals that came out of Montbello High School, right? We don't hear that West High School has one of the largest alumni groups in the country.
Wow.
Right? Denver Public Schools is such a special and amazing place that people that leave us go on to do amazing things. And as a steward of that, as a deputy superintendent, I want to make sure that we continue putting out into the ether, into the world, greatness. And I know that our kids are capable of it, and I know our teachers and our leaders really want to do that.
Yeah, it really is a unique and elite district, and being Colorado's really only urban school district in that way, it means a lot to say you're a DPS graduate. I want to get to sort of where we go from here into the future of DPS in just a minute, but to sort of segue into that, I know that you are incredibly interested in artificial intelligence, as everyone is right now, and how it's going to change our lives. I want to talk a little bit about that. You use it in your daily life here and there. How do you see it sort of changing education?
Yeah, that's such a great question, and it leads us to so many different paths. AI is a tool that we're just now learning to understand. And I think similar to cell phones, the internet, Google, we are heavily invested in learning how to use this tool to advance students, to advance teachers, and to make our lives and our society better. That being said, we are going to soon come into a group of students or a subsect of our population who are AI natives. Similar with the Google native or the cell phone native, they're digital natives. And so we're going to have to really accelerate our understanding of how AI can be leveraged, but not just AI, quantum computing, the intersection of those two tools, the infrastructure around AI and quantum computing are also areas that we're going to have to better understand. And so the more learning that we do collectively, but also learn from our students. I often tell people that my sons taught me how to use AI. They taught me how to really engage in it in an educational context because I caught them cheating and using AI to write their essays. And as a former English teacher, I really was appalled by that. But then working with them to understand their perspective and to get a clear understanding of how this tool has not only helped them write a great essay, but expanded their access to knowledge and given them things to really think about, I was a little bit more invested in the tool. Now, I still made them rewrite it, but I think it was a great partnership between AI and the student. And again, it is about how we use this tool to advance people in society and help kids learn more and do more with the tools at hand. And so this is such a tremendous opportunity, and we stand at the doorway of what could potentially be And I know we need our students to help us kind of cultivate
Yeah.
that, but also we just need to continue learning and use not only our community, but our business partners and our faith-based organizations to really have an understanding around what AI is, how it can be leveraged, and what it looks like to be used in Denver Public Schools.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers your question, but I get so excited because AI has really ripped the Band-Aid off a lot of things and provides such tremendous access that excuses start to fade away a little bit as to why we can't. And it allows us to do more in the space of education.
Well, I think you articulated well leadership's take on where DPS stands on AI. I've talked with some of the people who are more at the ground level of implementing it. There are obviously lots of different apps that there are being used in math or in English classes, et cetera. Even Canva and some design programs. Teachers use those. So we see the apps and the ways it's being used. But I think having that strong philosophy about it is pretty interesting. And I love that you pointed out that you learned about it from your sons who were doing what everyone did at first. They just used it to see how could I get away with cheating with this? Your sons, I know, are in high school and college now.
Yes,
so,
I have a freshman in college and a sophomore.
Educators quickly learned how to stamp that out and to look for signs of that. So I feel like since a couple of years ago when ChatGPT came out, we're not hearing about the cheating anymore. Now we're hearing about all these ways it can make lives easier. It can, solve potential problems for us in the world that our human brains alone can't solve. So that's a really exciting take on it. I think.
If I can just add this aspect of AI, I think increases the number of teachable moments we have with kids because the tool is going to be used and they're going to experiment with it. And it gives us as teachers, as parents, as community, an opportunity to really connect with the kid and ask the question, why? Why do you think this? What makes this true? How are you questioning this? What is the critical thought that goes into this? And it allows us to be in conversation with our young people to understand their perspectives, but then also, capitalize on those teachable moments to help them be better informed and to give a perspective versus a right or wrong, help them think. And the premise behind education is to create great thinkers, right? And so how do we use this tool is a question that we're going to always ask, but I would implore us to really seize the teachable moments that are popping up every day with our students and even with our teachers, to retool our teachers in a way that allow them to do their job more efficiently, to maintain a level of fidelity to their curriculum, but also explore their passions and ensure that kids are learning at the highest levels possible.
Excellent. Well, that's a segue into really what we kind of want to end the discussion with is looking ahead at the future of DPS. We know this is where you want to be. Here in Denver, you've been called back after a couple times heading out there, venturing out. Where do you see DPS in 5 years, 10 years, however much you can imagine ahead?
Yeah.
What are your dreams for this district?
Man, first and foremost, this is the best district, not only in the state of Colorado, but in the country. We have some amazing people. We have such a tremendous opportunity to really reinvent what it is to be a large school system, really moving the needle for kids and closing gaps and accelerating the trajectory of students who haven't achieved in the past. And I think how we do that is by building trust with our community. And I always say that transparency builds trust, and really tell them who we are and what we want to do and engage them as partners in that work. But that allows us to really open the doors to what is possible. I think about our innovation hubs. I think about some of our STEAM work. I think about the schools and what they're doing individually to really invest kids in the mental health aspect of their own education. The sky is the limit for us, and we're going to be one of the highest performing school districts in the country. I think about the NAEP and TUTA data that really talked about Denver's public schools as a leader in some of the bounce back from COVID. We've done a tremendous job of improving, and we know we have a long way to go, and we're invested in that journey. I once heard somebody say, I want to remember the view from the mountaintop, and I'll never regret the mistakes that we had because it allowed me to get there. I, as a person, as a deputy superintendent, am so excited to remember the view from the mountaintop. I know we have a lot of work to do, but getting there is going to be so much fun. And once we're there, man, the sky's the limit. And so it's hard to articulate the passion that I have for Denver Public Schools because I've been in it for so long and I see the magic. I see the opportunities that exist, and it's really allowed me to really understand the system and build strong relationships with the people. Numerous people here I've known for 10, 15, almost 20 years, and the work that they do is amazing. And I'm excited to get to learn people and foster relationships for another 10, 15, 20 years as we continue down this path.
It's an exciting time. You know, this is a constantly changing world. I know you can't make every prediction about what will happen, but wow, the challenges that you've already overcome as deputy superintendent coming out of those COVID years, leading DPS to the place that we are at right now and continuing to push forward. It sounds like that mountaintop is within reach.
Yeah, no, I always say we are Denver County #1, and we're #1 for a reason. So Denver Public Schools is definitely going to get the job done.
All right. Dr. Tony Smith, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining us to talk about leadership's role in really driving the district forward here. It's so important. Next time we see you on the lesson plan, we hope to get back into the weeds a little bit in academics. We might have a conversation to kick off the new year about financial literacy, just one of the many exciting things that students get to learn about here in Denver Public Schools. Thank you to our listeners for joining us, and we will see you next time.